Darkcast Network, indie pods with a dark side.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
3, 2, 1.
We are gathered here as advisors, as scientists.
The kind of place we expect a ghost to like to wander around.
Hey, we all know how we're gonna die, baby.
I'll help you. I'm something of a witch.
Welcome to Mission Spooky. I'm your fantastic host, JC. With me today, as per usual, the queen of everything herself, Kiki, and our local cryptid enthusiast, Cord. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Happy Valentine's Day.
Yeah, happy Valentine's. This is our Valentine's Day special, except it has nothing to do with Valentine's Day.
Oh, no.
Or does it? There might be. I don't fucking know. I don't do the research. We all know this.
Happy Valentine's Day, Cord.
I'm feeling the love.
Instead of flowers this year, I demanded that my husband buy me a 20-inch pastel Yeti Squishmallow because it was as much money as it would cost to buy. No, it was actually cheaper than buying a dozen roses, which it usually does. But we agreed that with the inflation the way it is this year, that it was actually better because, how did I put it? Roses die, but Squishmallows are forever. Anyway, she's a Yeti. How can I say no to that?
I mean, that's right.
You just say no. It's that easy. It's that simple.
It's a cryptid.
No, like I get it, but you asked a question, so I gave you an answer. I'm not saying you should say no to
That's
it.
what I'm saying. Like,
but you asked how, so
Oh
I
my
gave you
God.
the instructions on how to say the word no. I hate me more than anyone else does.
Yeah, I'm
so.
glad. Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just going to let that hang there for a moment. Today will also be the day that you get a double dose of coolness today, because not only do you get this episode, but you got it or you will be getting our Darkcast Network episode, which will be something spooky and true crime related involving Valentine's Day. And that's many different podcasts on the network coming together, including us. It's a good day today.
Hell yeah.
Since you waited so long for us to come back, we are giving you guys back-to-back episodes. So you got one last week, you'll get one this week. But then we're back on our regular bi-weekly rotation starting on the 28th. Just FYI.
Fucking sick, bruh.
You guys got any plans for Valentine's Day?
Same thing I do every year. Nothing.
I mean, it's a Tuesday, right? So probably nothing on actual Valentine. That and like going out, like it's just such a pain. That whole week,
Oh, here
trying
we
to
go.
find any fucking where to go is a pain in the butt, and it's just aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
I also hate people and being around people. So when people are out, I just get mad.
No, you do not. You
Yes, I
absolutely
do.
do not.
I am not a fan of people.
Bro.
I mean, except for the wonderful bastards listening to us. You're all freaking amazing.
Uh,
But everyone else can't stand.
Well, if you don't mind being around people and you do want to go out somewhere to eat, even if it's not tonight, because it is Valentine's Day, it's a little bit late now to make reservations. But I'm a huge fan of Union and Finch in Allentown. So if I got any of my townies listening, you know what I'm talking about. Union and Finch, man. They got the best shit. That chicken and waffles. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, we are going to take a break for our lovely sponsor and also a promo from one of our fellow podcasters in the Darkcast Network, Autumn's Oddities. She's always a blast to listen to. Love her show. And when we get back, we will be discussing a topic that I have promised you guys for a while now.
Autumn's Oddities is a strange and unusual podcast made by the strange and unusual, me, Autumn Gruby. Each week, I'll be taking you through some of the creepiest cases true crime has to offer. It won't only be true crime, I'll also be covering cryptids, haunted places, haunted things, and the true stories that inspired horror movies. Listen every Monday and Friday for new episodes, and remember, if it's creepy and weird, you'll find it here.
Hey, Spookster Squad! If you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify yet, maybe you've been hunkered down in the deep woods keeping an eye on a Bigfoot structure. Anyway, it's the easiest way to make a podcast, with everything you need in one place, which is really handy when you've got cryptid audio that needs to be out there to the public as quickly as possible. See, Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone, or even a computer. Anchor also helps distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more, so you have extra time to get searching for that lake monster. You know they're all out there. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all, Anchor's totally free. This means more money for cryptid hunting equipment. So go download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Hey, JC.
Yeah.
What do a bad author and grave robbers have in common, buddy?
I don't know. What do they have? Well, they're both people. That's one thing. They're both humans.
No.
Probably. They're both alive. That's a thing.
That's not funny. They both...
I hate this. I hate that I'm the target.
They both create a lot of plot holes.
You're not wrong. I hate it. Is this how you guys feel whenever I open my mouth?
Bro,
Yes.
Every time.
Good.
Every time.
Good.
Sorry, hold on. Is this mic working? They both create a lot of plot holes.
Okay. Cordy poo. I'm gonna give you so many kisses.
Thank you. I'll be here all week. But that's the only joke I have.
I actually was just thinking, it's Valentine's Day. And if you're alone, well, you could always just become a resurrectionist and dig up some friends.
See, JC didn't laugh at that one either.
I'll show myself out.
I think JC just doesn't know what funny is. That was a
Dude,
good
that
one.
was great.
The real joke here is that you guys thought those were jokes.
Yeah. Now JC just feels bad. He's the only one that didn't bring a joke to the table today.
I brought two. You guys.
Ouch. Boy, okay, it's time to mute JC. Fuck, dude.
You can mute me, but you don't stop me from saying the words.
You're just speaking to yourself, buddy. All right, we got a lot to cover today, so let's stop messing around. In our episode on vampire lore and the caged graves of Pennsylvania, I mentioned that the cages might have been used to deter grave robbers or resurrectionists coming from Ohio, which might seem weird, but I've also been promising to tell the rest of the story for a while now. We had some great guests come on for the last part of our third season, so I decided to hold off on this story until now, and hopefully you'll also notice that since we've done that, we have a much more cohesive set of stories for the next few months going forward. It's kind of cool. They all kind of run into each other. And we've been focusing on Pennsylvania, obviously, surrounding states, but we really have not spent a lot of time in Ohio. So
Thank God for that. I mean,
well, I keep hearing about how Ohio is a strange little state, and I've come across a few tales of terror or horror, maybe human horror, including this one, that I think you spooky history folks are going to really enjoy. So, quick recap. Caged graves in Pennsylvania. They were put up in 1852, and they were most likely put there to prevent grave robbers from Ohio.
Not vampires.
Not vampires.
well, but they also kind of work for vampires.
I mean, do they, though? I think we established they didn't
Yeah.
in the vampire episode.
No, I think they'd still kind of work. Well, they stopped vampires from grave robbing. I'm sorry. That was a little confusing. I thought, okay, yeah, you thought I was talking about the person that got buried. No.
Yeah, so anyway, the vampire episode, I believe, is number 64 from 2021. Guys, it's been a while ago. Sorry, it's now 2023, and I'm finally getting to this. This is great. Yeah, I did. I put it off for a while. So the Ohio Medical School was founded in 1819. Just kind of giving you a little bit of background on this Ohio thing that we're doing today. Now, I did my little bit of research for today's standards. And the graves are located in Catawissa, Pennsylvania. The Ohio Medical School is in Cincinnati. It takes a good 8-hour drive today to get to Cincinnati. But as we get into this, you guys are going to find out that Ohio grave robbers actually worked medical colleges from Cincinnati to Philadelphia. And for some of them, the mode of transportation was by train, not a horse and wagon. So stealing bodies from Pennsylvania for transport to medical facilities all along a train route was an option. All right, guys, I need you to focus up and be as professional as possible.
I was going to be, and I want to say bad things.
I know you guys can do it, okay? I have total faith in you.
You don't.
Listen, I just spent all week being professional. It's my Friday.
Yes.
I'm not going to be professional about this.
All right, well, let's get to our first famous Ohio resurrectionist. First of all, are we all clear what a resurrectionist is? I think we're pretty...
JC?
I'm going to say no, just so we can get people... Just give us a real quick, 30-second recap.
They're grave robbers.
There you go.
Okay.
Our first resurrectionist that we're going to talk about is William Cunningham, a.k.a. Old Cunny. Long pause for making fun of his name.
No, you asked me to be professional, so now I'm professional.
I knew you had it in you. Okay. This is actually kind of creepy in itself, but legend has it that mothers and fathers of Cincinnati would scare their naughty children by telling them that Old Cunny would grab them in the night.
I'm trying my best, Kiki, and you are not making this easy.
I know. I wrote it that way on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes...
It's the JC challenge run.
It is. Forget the one chip challenge. This is the JC. You can do this.
My eye is twitching right now.
It's the old Cunny challenge. Let's go.
So Cunningham is thought to have stolen upwards of 100 bodies per year.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. All that theft led to several stories that definitely sum up the life of a resurrectionist and perhaps the outright audacity necessary to become one. In layman's terms, these folks had some giant balls. I can't tell you how many times I laughed out loud trying to write this and realizing that I was probably going to hell because I was laughing. But
I don't think that's why you're going to hell. I feel like the list is pretty long before we get to 2023. I'm just saying, you're old as shit. So,
wow,
you've lived a life.
Sheesh.
Look, I got to get an old joke in there. I shouldn't have said as shit. I'm sorry. You're not that old.
You're old and shit.
No.
Or as shit. Old
as shit. Yeah, that's a little rough, but...
It's all right. It's coming from you. It's all right. I feel the love there.
It's coming from you, whose opinion I don't respect or care about, so...
JC with the heel turn. What the hell, man?
I know.
All right.
I know.
Nice. Okay, guys. So here's the real challenge. You can't laugh at any of these things I'm about to tell you.
It's not. Well, it's not fair. I've literally been known to laugh at the word pudding.
This is going to be really bad, JC.
I laughed at the word duty the other day. So,
JC, do you want to hold hands as we traverse this nasty, nasty place of not laughing?
No. I think I can do this.
Fine.
I mean, we all remember the ghost sex episode.
I just had someone listen to it last night.
We're about to traverse territory it's in the realm of that kind of laughter.
Oh no.
Okay. One story relays the treatment of the dead during transportation. Now, this story is told after Cunningham's death, okay? And it's a, quote, friend of his that relays this to a local newspaper. Cunningham placed a corpse in the seated position beside him in a vehicle. He had dressed up the cadaver in a coat, vest, and hat. He kept his arm around the waist of the deceased as they drove through town, all the while the body jolting forward during vehicle stops and otherwise bobbing its head around uncontrollably as they made their way to the medical college. The, quote, friend is quoted in this is from the Cincinnati Enquirer from 1874, and he says, Then old Cunny would give the stiff a slap in the face and say, "Sit up. This is the last time, by God, I'll take you home when you're this drunk. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Drunker than a biled owl." I don't know what that means. "With a wife and child to support."
Just to be like correct, when you say old cunny, like we're all thinking cunnilingus, right? Like that's the word that's coming to mind. I just want us to all be on the same page.
I'm sorry, that's what you took from that? He played a fucking Weekend at Bernie's with a goddamn corpse.
No. Like I get that.
In town.
That's fine. No, that's fine.
He wouldn't be caught by the police joking like it was drunk.
Yeah, no, that sounds very
Okay, I just
plausible.
wanted to make sure that was where your mind should have been right now.
That's what I was laughing at. But
No, we're different people.
I'd hope so.
Okay. But if you thought that was a ludicrous display, my IT crowd fans will appreciate that joke. Okay. Let me regale you with the time that Cunningham attempted to send a, quote, package, COD, via American Express, as was relayed by the clerk who happened to be working on this unfortunate day. And yes, that American Express, guys, that is... American Express was literally like an express package delivery service before it became what it is today. Old Cunny arrived with a box labeled "Glass, handle with care." It was addressed to a doctor in Leavenworth, Kansas. The COD was $30 to be returned to him. But after Cunningham left, the clerk had some suspicions about what was actually in the box. Really? Like, no what's in the box joke? Wow, okay. Guys, I'm disappointed in y'all.
Well,
it's a good movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's concerned about what.
You know, there's a band that like they have like an album or some shit that's all about that movie, and like just every song is about that movie. I'll have to find it. I'll send it to you guys. It's all good.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. I know you can.
Wow, thanks.
Just doing the Lord's work, you know?
So the clerk becomes a little bit concerned about what's actually in the box and decides that perhaps, maybe to his dismay, that he should inspect it. So he opens it up, and inside he finds the corpse of a woman in a canvas sack surrounded by sawdust and with what appears to be a very swift embalming. A porter was sent to Cunningham's house. You know, since he had the COD, the money was to be returned to his address. So they go to his house, where his initial concern is that the police have been around the body, and he questioned whether the body had begun to smell, as she was freshly embalmed the night before, so he was kind of confused as to why anyone would open the box to begin with. The porter responded that the police were not involved yet, but that American Express does not ship cadavers and that he would have to come to pick it up. To which old Cunny responded, and I quote, "Oh, is that all? Well, I don't care a damn if that's all, but I don't see what in the hell's the use of making a fuss about this thing, because I've shipped more than 100 of them this summer by American Express." This guy. I hate to say that I fucking love this dude. Like,
he's definitely a character.
I'm concerned that the police are involved, but oh, that's all? But I've already shipped like 100 of them this summer. The hell's wrong with you people?
It's just one of those, it took you this long?
Yeah. Cunningham died in 1871 and would himself be part of the Medical College of Ohio as a research skeleton for medical students, having sold his body in advance for $50.
I mean, you can't say he was a hypocrite. That's for sure.
That's roughly $1,500 in today's money. So,
Yeah, Zooks.
Good for
I'd be
him.
asking for a fuck ton more, but anyway.
What are you gonna do with it?
What do you mean?
Well, you're dead. So, like, what do you do with the money?
You ask for it in advance.
Oh, I'm not a good planner.
No. I just said that it was in advance of his death. Anyway, he had an agreement with the college, basically. So the Cincinnati Enquirer, again, from 1872, related the bony exhibit as, quote, his ghastly skeleton neatly articulated and wired, sits on a tombstone in the cabinet of that institution, while in his hand he grasps a spade, the emblem of his calling in life. Between his teeth he holds a short pipe, as he was wont to do in the days of flesh. Unfortunately, no one knows what happened to Cunningham's skeleton. It was never actually put into inventory. So when the college merged with the other university, I believe it's the University of Cincinnati. So who knows what happened to his skeleton? Could still be floating around a classroom somewhere.
Oh, interesting.
In the heyday of Resurrectionists, there were a total of 5 schools in Cincinnati area alone that required cadavers. So Cunningham would sell his bodies from between $20 to $30, which seemed to be the going rate for bodies in the northeastern United States, according to all the stories that I've read so far. And with all of those students, there's a massive amount of cadavers needed, with grave robbers becoming more brazen day by day. And this brings us to the theft of John Scott Harrison. So Harrison was an Ohio congressman. He's the only person who was both the son and father of a U.S. president. Father William Henry Harrison was the 9th president, and his son Benjamin Harrison will become the 23rd president. The theft of his body will set off national scandal, and this is going to lead to several changes in medical cadaver policies. After passing away in his sleep on May 25th, 1878, Harrison's remains were laid to rest in North Bend, Ohio on May 29th. During his funeral, attendees noticed that the grave of Augustus Devon, who had died just 11 days previous of tuberculosis, had been robbed. Obviously concerned for their father's corpse, Benjamin Harrison and his brothers John and Carter saw to it that their father's grave had extra protections. Now, I had not gotten into how this is usually done. Grave robbers would target what they believe to be the head of the corpse, or head of the tombstone. They would just dig a hole straight down, and then they would break through the coffin, and then they would attach hooks under the arms of the corpse. Not enough to damage the corpse, but just like hook them in, and then pull the corpse out that way, head first. Okay. So knowing all of this, it was already a bricked, vaulted grave, but they reinforced that with 3 large stone slabs over the casket, and they cover it with cement. Once the cement has dried, the grave is then covered, and then a watchman is hired for 30 nights at a rate of $30. So he's getting $1 a night just to watch the grave and make sure nobody tries to fuck with it. John Harrison and his cousin George Eaton began looking for the stolen corpse of Augustus Devon, who was also a family friend. It's like you're laying your father to rest and realize that your friend's corpse has been stolen. They're armed with a search warrant and escorted by 3 Cincinnati policemen. Among them is a detective, Snellbaker.
It's a terrible last name.
They begin their search for Devon at the Medical College of Ohio. Why? Because grave robbers. They know this. The morning edition of the Cincinnati Enquirer reported that a buggy had been seen in the alley around 3 a.m. near the college. This is why they go there first. It appeared to be carrying a suspicious white package, roughly human-shaped, and it gives people the impression that someone may have been smuggling a corpse into the medical college. So they've got probable cause. The men are met by a janitor. He is noted as a Mr. A. Marshall. He escorted them as they searched the building. The short story here is that the janitor tells the men that he needs to go alert the faculty that the men wanted to search the rest of the facility after discovering nothing in the basement of the college. Snellbaker lets him leave, but he puts somebody on his tail to watch where he's going. Janitor Marshall leads the tail to an upstairs area, and there's a rope and pulley system that's bringing cadavers up to the upper levels of the college. So Snellbaker noticed that the rope from the pulley was taut, indicating that there might be a corpse on the line. The body slowly makes its way up to the detective. The body that arrived had its head covered in a sheet and turned out to be a rather brawny older man, not the withered, thin corpse of a 23-year-old who just died of tuberculosis. Nevertheless, Snellbaker had John remove the sheet to see if it was indeed his friend, Augustus Devon. Instead, John lets out a gasp, exclaiming that it's father.
Oh.
The man they had buried less than 24 hours ago under rock slabs, concrete, and dirt. It would later be discovered that resurrectionists must have been witnesses to the whole precautions taken for Harrison. And rather than entering through the head of the casket, which I just told you was normal, in this case, that area was completely protected. So they entered at the feet. The casket had been drilled into, and the lid had been pried up, and the body was roped around the feet and pulled out that way. While many angry allegations were laid upon both the college and the janitor, who was seen as a liar, when asked if Harrison's corpse had been on the dissection table, he had said no, that he hadn't seen him there, but there was obvious signs that dissection had begun, but that the body was then moved to the pulley system. They began a civil suit against the college, Benjamin Harris and the Devon family, each suing for $10,000 apiece.
And how much was that back then?
A fuck ton.
Yeah, because like you said, $30 or what was it, $50?
$50 was $1,500.
Yeah, so that's a good amount of money.
Yeah. Unfortunately, all the paperwork relating to that civil suit was burned in a fire during the Hamilton County Courthouse fire of 1884. So would have been public knowledge, but it wasn't really talked about. And I can't really find anything, stating definitively that either the family received any monetary compensation for all the hell they had to go through. But I do know that the janitor had been on a $5,000 bail bond, and that was paid for by the university to release him. And I don't think he was ever actually tried or found guilty of anything, which makes a lot of sense as you begin to find out more about what goes on in colleges at this time.
Mm-hmm.
So this theft, however, blew open the resurrectionists' entire business with the area colleges, where once faculty told police that the persons involved in retrieving bodies were, quote, no names with no faces, they were forced to admit that they had contracted for bodies with specific resurrectionists who supplied them with a certain amount each year. The ghoulish fact was that Cincinnati was a hub of the corpse trade and a major city to and from which the dead would be shipped from smaller cities in the area, such as all of those places that we were talking about, those little lonely towns in Pennsylvania that also happened to be connected to railway systems, like Catawissa.
Mm-hmm.
But where was Augustus Devon? Detective Snellbaker received a tip that Devon's body may have been shipped to Miami Medical School in Oxford, Ohio. This is not Miami, Florida, just to be certain. It's Miami Medical School in Oxford, Ohio. This medical school also had a janitor involved in the case, except this one was much more forthcoming with information, at least after Snellbaker threatened to dig up the entire basement looking for Devon. The janitor confessed that a certain Gabriel was given permission from a Dr. Clendenin to use the basement for body preparation during the school's summer break. It was during this time that it's believed that, quote, Gabriel stole the bodies of Harrison and Devon. And this brings me to another famous resurrectionist, because Gabriel is the alias used by Charles Morton, a.k.a. Dr. Morton, a.k.a. Dr. Gordon, a.k.a. Dr. Christensen. This guy
What
is a fucking professional. The shit I'm about to tell you.
How many names does a new dude need?
A lot when you're trying to stay ahead of the police.
Oh, well, fair.
This is all true. Again, unbelievable audacity. Morton was a University of Michigan medical school dropout. His body snatching organization was known to span across Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania, racking up a stolen corpse count that no one can ever really tally for certain.
Oh.
In 1887, the same year of the bodies being stole, Harrison and Devon, he was behind bars for a totally different offense of stealing corpses in Toledo, which were to be sold to the University of Michigan. While he's incarcerated, he is handed a bundle of letters in the prison guard's office. Okay, so it's like he's in prison. They're like, hey, you received this bundle of letters. Take him to the office. They hand him the letters, to which he promptly throws them into a fire. It was in a fireplace inside the office.
That's not incriminating.
Bad start.
Some of this is recovered, and it is discovered that through these, what they were able to find, that Morton had direct connections with the University of Michigan to steal bodies. The letter indicated that he should not take anyone younger than 14, because there were issues with children corpses, that he should move on from Toledo because too many corpses had gone missing, so the heat was on, so to speak. And also inside of it was enclosed $90. The fact that Morton was willing to burn these envelopes, perhaps knowing that part of his payment was inside it, is pretty telling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a lot of money that he was willing to just be like, fuck, you're not supposed to have these. Quick, burn it. A week later, however, Morton started showing signs of pustules developing on his skin while he's still incarcerated. Doctors arrived to tell the bad news that Morton had smallpox. He was immediately removed from the prison and taken to a plague house for quarantining. Obviously, nobody wants to get smallpox then. There's no vaccine yet, right?
Yep.
So there he is alone. There's no one else in quarantining right now. He has 2 guards watching over him. At one point, a possibly very drunken lynch mob comes to take him away. Because, enough of these families have gotten together in Toledo and they're pissed off about what's been happening.
Fair.
So they're like, we're just going to fucking kill you. Which, by the way, even that's a bit much, because honestly, if you were caught, there was jail time or a fine or both, depending on how bad off it was.
Right.
You weren't going to be put to death because you stole a corpse. That's, this is kind of funny because this lynch mob comes in and Morton is simply like, okay, to the guards. He says, tell him I'll be right out. To which the guards were even like, what? And then, of course, they go and they tell him, they said, just wait here. He'll be right with you. And they're like, oh, wait, he has smallpox and nobody wants to get that.
What a dick.
I know.
Just one asshole. It's like the most sarcastic statement in the world.
Again, I'm writing this and I'm like, I should not like this guy. I should not like this guy. I should not. But anyway, 4 days after this incident, however, Morton would escape while his guards are eating dinner. Or maybe they got paid off by the doctors who had told everyone that Morton had smallpox, when in fact, he had rubbed croton oil on himself, which is a caustic irritant that when applied to the skin causes swelling, blistering, and exfoliation, mimicking the symptoms of smallpox. Guys, fucking genius.
Oh my god. What a ruse.
I am not supposed to like this guy. But wait, there's more. After his escape, the Harrison investigation continued and found that Morton had in fact stayed in Cincinnati during the corpse theft, because they weren't sure if he was incarcerated prior to, right? Because it's the same year. So like how many months ago? Yeah, they're able to go back and they found out that he was staying at like a hotel or, like an inn for a while during the time period. It was perfect. They're like, oh, we fucking got this guy.
Right.
At the time, he's accompanied. Now, this is where, again, I'm not supposed to like this guy. He's accompanied by a beautiful blonde woman who identifies herself as his wife. He told the renters that he was a doctor, but he liked to go night fishing.
Then they use a hook and pulley system to pull the. That's the joke there, guys. I don't know. Ooh, that's how they got the corpses out.
There's also no explanation, however, for why he carried 2 bags with him large enough for a person to be in, or why his carriage was always covered in mud when he returned.
He gets a lot of fish and he goes down to the riverbed.
Catfish are real big.
Or why his, quote, wife liked to go with him dressed up as a man.
I mean, she doesn't want to get the dress dirty and she likes to go fishing too.
It's good to have shared hobbies in a relationship, like a quality time.
This all lines up, bro.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything suspicious.
I see this as completely innocent fishing fun.
They just happen to check out the very same day that Harrison's body was discovered at the college. So probably just a couple of days after they stole it. But the idea that this dude and a beautiful blonde woman stole the senator's body. Oh, yeah. Anyway, so after some more detective work from Snellbaker, it was discovered that he had been slipping corpses into pickling barrels and shipping them through American Express. It's everywhere your corpse wants to be, apparently. The fuck? Amex, shipping the cadavers. He ships them to Miami College, again, Oxford, Ohio, and the University of Michigan. Snellbaker goes to search University of Michigan, even after a doctor there has vehemently denied receiving any bodies from Ohio in the last month, only to be called out as a liar after the detective finds 3 huge pickling vats containing 40 bodies. Men, women, children, both black and white.
That's a lot.
And they're in varying states of decomposition.
That's gross.
Within these vats would be the body of Augustus Devon, now taking on the appearance of life as his hair dried from the pickling solution of salt and saltpeter, and his skin turned a pinkish hue from the injection of lead oxide. Devon would be reburied 4 weeks after his initial funeral, with volunteers from the community paying their continued respects by guarding his gravesite every night for weeks. As for Snellbaker's case, Morton was a ghost. The detective received no further help from anyone. One doctor even proclaimed that if he told anything at all about Morton, no other resurrectionist would ever help work to get bodies for the university. And that meant no more cadavers for study.
Ooh.
Without a legal means to obtain bodies, the resurrectionists and the doctors were cuffed hand in hand in the name of progress. However, a law is passed allowing for the medical use of unclaimed bodies who died in the care of the state, such as homeless in hospitals, insane asylums. Previous laws had prohibited dissection. If anybody had at all objected, including an acquaintance or a friend of the family, it could go that far back. If anyone at all was like, no, like, that's my butt. Like, you can't dissect cord. Cord's our friend. Fuck you. That's all it would take.
Do it. Whatever.
The enlarged pool of corpses, however, still wasn't enough to fill the demand, and enforcement of new laws was less than vigorous, with some states also allowing for the use of corpses from potter's fields or African American cemeteries because, basically they're looking the other way for those bodies considered, quote, lesser, which is gross.
Yeah.
I know. Resurrectionists continued their profitable business in the United States well into the 20th century. Now, this is evidenced by a case of burking in 1884. So this is well after the passing of the law, okay? And this is still happening in Ohio. So 1884, burking, named after Burke and Hare from Edinburgh, who were well-known resurrectionists, only instead of, trying to find dead bodies, they just started murdering people to turn them into dissection laboratories.
Close enough.
Yeah. Kind of cut out the whole waiting for people to die, just make it happen. This is known as the Avondale Horror. African-American man, Beverly Taylor. I know, don't make fun of his name though. It's a very sad story. His wife, Elizabeth, and their 11-year-old granddaughter. Oh my God, I sound like I was from Philadelphia just then. Wow.
Granddaughter.
I know, what the fuck?
What the hell?
I don't know. That was weird. I just channeled my
11-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
Go Birds!
Granddaughter.
So this episode is coming out after the Super Bowl, but I really do hope the Birds win.
Their 11-year-old granddaughter, Emma Jean Lambert, are brutally murdered by 2 resurrectionists, Alan Ingalls and Ben Johnson. Ironically, Beverly Taylor was rumored to have been taught by Old Cunny himself. He was a freed black man, done so after the war. He originally moved his family to Cincinnati. He worked as a carpenter and put away some money, but he had been robbed in the mid-1870s. He then moved to Blatchley Farm, and he worked odd jobs until rheumatism basically made him bedridden. His wife did laundry for neighbors, earning money for both of them. It seems though their daughter lived in the city. I think they referenced Chicago at one point. And so they cared for their granddaughter out on the farm. It would be the owner of the dairy farm that Taylor and his family lived on, Lewis Mills, who would first notice that something was wrong when he realized there was a faint glow over the horizon of the farm getting brighter. And that's when he realized that the Taylor's house was on fire.
Oops.
There's no bodies that are discovered, though, at the site. And authorities kind of immediately expected some kind of foul play. And they start searching medical colleges in the area because, you know,
Oh my God.
I mean, there's not even a burn body. There's nothing. There's no bone. There's nothing there.
Mm.
So a Marshall Brown is put in charge of this investigation. He called up the Ohio Medical College and talks to a Dr. Jonathan Longfellow Silly. Yes. His last name is Silly, but spelled with a C. He's the chief anatomist and the man responsible for gathering cadavers. Marshall Brown talks to this doctor. He tells him about the fire and that he's basically missing 3 people. Silly promises that he's going to keep an eye out, right? Because this isn't just like stealing bodies. This is like something may have really bad happened to them as well. So it seems as though Silly got his dates confused. So when he originally told, at least this is his story, when he originally told Marshall Brown about, you know, not having received any bodies, that, you know, at least not in like X amount of days, he read the newspaper and realized that he had his dates confused and that he had received bodies. And when he read the description of those people who were missing in the paper, he did have them, all 3 of them. So he immediately contacted the police. This is like 1884. And once I read the rest of the story and realized how these people were murdered, I was like, how did this doctor not know that these people were bludgeoned to death?
Well,
I, in my mind, hold him responsible. And I think a lot of people nowadays are like, he probably got away with murder. Even if it was unintentional, so Alan Ingalls, Ben Johnson, they get accused of the crime. There's a lot of detective work that goes through it. I'm not going to get into all of that today. But at one point, Alan Ingalls claims that the doctor told him to get bodies, even if he had to hit them over the head.
ew.
The doctor says, "Oh, I would never say that, even if I was joking." It's Ben Johnson who comes totally clean, maybe for his own conscience, and is like, I was involved in it. I didn't actually do any of the murdering. It was actually Alan who did it. He came back. He knew Beverly Taylor from being a resurrectionist. So that's another person saying that he himself had been one as well.
Mm-hmm.
His story was Alan, also being African American, he was friends with Beverly. They'd worked together, and they'd often gone to the quote black cemetery to to rob graves and take them to the college. Johnson's like, yeah, the stuff all happened. I was there when Ingalls stole bodies. He told me he knew Taylor, that he would go visit him. So they go to visit him, and then he realizes he's got rheumatoid arthritis. He can't move hardly. His wife is older too. He decides that night, oh, I'm going to kill all 3 of them. An 11-year-old girl. Like, what the fuck, dude? So he takes I don't want to say a baseball bat. It was basically like a baseball bat, and beats the woman first. Her husband can't do anything to save her because he can't even move. He's bedridden. He can't do anything to save his granddaughter. Johnson says that Ingalls hit the little girl one time, and that was it. She was dead. And then he beat the crap out of Beverly Taylor and killed him. And then they removed the bodies. He claimed that they did not set fire to the house, that there was a fire going, and it's very possible, since it was unattended, that a spark just flew out and set the house on fire.
What a douche.
Yeah, he's a fucking asshole. Ingalls and Johnson are sentenced to hang. Ingalls won't get that far because he kills himself while he's incarcerated by hanging himself in his cell. And then Johnson does, though, see the noose. I kind of feel slightly bad for Johnson. I feel like, you know, like you see this guy, first he tells you they're just going to go get some bodies. And the next thing you know, he's bludgeoning people to death. I think he probably just had like complete fear, shock, didn't know what to do, and was definitely afraid of Ingalls. You just witnessed a dude kill 3 people, including an 11-year-old.
Fair.
Should he have gone to the police? Well, again, if you're scared to death of this person, he could murder you, you know?
Yeah.
But the fact that he came clean immediately, I kind of feel bad for him. And I feel like the doctor didn't get shit at all. And I'm sorry, but I don't believe that he didn't know that those 3 people were murdered.
Right.
Immediately should have been like, where the fuck did these people come from?
Should have at least been suspicious.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it's not until 1968 that we get the Uniform Anatomical Gift Act. And that's gone through some transitions from like 86, 90 something in 2006 about being able to give your body to science if you want to.
Yes.
While all this shit happened with Harrison, though, Cord found out about some cool stuff that happened because of it while people were waiting on this legislation to go through that at least stop people from just taking anybody.
People obviously, you said before, guarded grave sites, specific grave sites. You know, they had family members hang out with guns. There was a thing that I saw where there was an instance where a grave robber, well, a resurrectionist, got shot by workers who were working on a site beside the graveyard who were like, hey, fuck these guys. Just started blasting away at them. There are some very legitimate, like, bizarre deterrents that people came up with. I found 2 of them that I want to talk about.
Real quick, it's funny you mentioned about people getting shot, because I forgot to mention that old Cunny had gotten buckshot in his leg, so he walked with a limp because someone had actually shot at him while he was trying to like dig up a body.
So the first deterrent, and the slightly less interesting one, I think, is a device called a torpedo coffin.
I'm Wait, less interesting?
This one is
Sure.
the one that I
Favorite.
promise you, dude. You are going to fucking die at the second one. But the torpedo coffin was a device designed so when somebody would go to reopen the coffin, it'd essentially shoot them with a shotgun shell. It'd shoot them like a shotgun blast, pretty much. Just litter pepper balls like straight up in the sky, and most of the time the person is leaning over the coffin to try to open it, so they just get shot.
Okay, I like it. It's simple but effective, you know?
It was some form of chain and rope system that was connected to just this armament. And probably the most interesting part about this was you could have more than one in there. So just because one goes off and your resurrectionist partner gets blown away doesn't mean you can open the casket free and just get it. They could put multiple sets in there to go off multiple times. Records say it was decently effective. It scares the shit out of them if it misses, and it makes a real loud noise so everybody knows they're around. If it hits, then they're definitely gonna get caught. But the second one, and the one that I think JC will find the most interesting, was
I'm interested.
somebody made a trap to deter people from trying to steal his deceased wife's body. He claimed it was both more effective and cheaper to do. So what this guy did was he took a long tube, I guess more kind of like a pipe, and he filled it with nitroglycerin, right?
Now we're talking.
He buried it over top of the coffin, and a couple inches above that pipe just put in a bed of blasting caps. So most people that know what those two things do will see where this is going. But essentially, the whole point is if a shovel goes deep enough into that ground, it's going to strike a blasting cap, which is the part of the dynamite that makes the explosion happen, which will set off the blasting cap, which will then set off probably all the other blasting caps that he buried in there, which will also ignite the 6 foot or 5 foot long container holding the nitroglycerin, essentially blowing a massive crater in the ground. He said it should have been effective to about 25 to 50 feet. Anybody in that area would be absolutely gone. And
what about the other corpses?
Well, see, here's the thing. They said, hey, this thing's going to blast like a 15-foot crater in the ground. You know your wife's body's buried under that, right? And he was like, I'd rather her body be incinerated than be taken by these people. So, and he suggested everybody should do it, so then nobody has to worry about the collateral damage. I don't know if he suggested that, but it would be funny if he did.
I'd like to think that he did.
Right.
So yeah, his deterrent to keep his wife's body where it was to essentially bury a massive bomb over top of it and say, go ahead, dig. See if I care.
Yeah.
It's stupid, but it's like, I bet they didn't take his wife's body.
I'm glad that you covered the torpedo one because that one was actually designed in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, specifically.
Yes.
As a deterrent for probably these guys.
I'm just glad that I was finally, after a year, able to deliver this particular. Well, it seems like a year, but so what had happened was, we did the vampire thing in 2021, but that was in October, and so I originally had this Resurrectionist one scheduled for. Yeah, well, it has been a year. Yeah, now that I look back at it, I'm like, yeah, I did. I had it scheduled for February of 2022, and I even had the band that I'm going to mention in a minute here lined up and everything. And time kind of just like got away. And my original thought was, you know what, we'll revisit this Resurrectionist thing in October, tie it in with our old vampire episode from the year before, kind of revisit it, talk all about this stuff because it's insane, it's crazy. Thanks for Haldol holding on for us because they were always going to be the band for this particular episode. And that's because the song that we're going to play today is Taphonomy. And first of all, I love the band. They're fantastic. But the song choice, if anybody doesn't know what Taphonomy is, look it up.
That means you, JC.
Hey, Siri, what's taphonomy? No, it just brought up taxonomy.
Taphonomy.
So I said it right. Fucking Siri's just a bitch.
Taphonomy. No, I did a year-long study on it. So Haldol is
okay.
It's in my case, it would mean, well, for us, it was like the
study of decay.
Well, it
literally says right here.
No. That's right, but there's two ways to look at it. So that's like the one way, but it's also the geography of a gravesite. So literally the decay of the gravesite itself. So
gotcha.
A little less on the body decay and more on the
geology.
Yes. Oh my God, JC, good job.
I said a thing.
JC clutch.
I've never been more proud of myself.
I think I've been more proud of you, JC. I'm gonna be fair.
Of myself,
Yeah. So for us, it was more of the and not really the decay, but the erosion.
Yeah.
The erosion around the particular gravesite. We were trying to ascertain if people buried at different levels were buried with more grave goods or less. If there was any kind of indication of diseases or age groups, or was it strictly that this particular gravesite had been completely disrupted by the Department of Transportation? And it turned out that it made no sense. There was grave goods buried with people who were only 3 feet, found at 3 feet deep. There was grave goods with people at 6 feet deep. It was, there were elderly, there were kids, there were women, there were men. It was, it was all over the place. So pretty much all we proved was, yes, the Department of Transportation in the state that we were looking at had essentially just destroyed the whole entire grave site to the point where it was too difficult to ascertain if there was anything that matched up correctly. But hey, that's okay, because they proved something. Right? So, Taphonomy, close to my heart. Haldol, from Philadelphia. Go check them out on Bandcamp. Buy all the stuff. They're awesome. And they're even more awesome because they waited all this time to get featured.
Hell yeah.
And I felt really horrible about it. And I was like, oh crap. And then I went back and realized that I never contacted them and told them that I was waiting until this February. It wasn't, it was going to be, because we talked in like October. And I was like, oh my God, I'm the worst. But
I mean, but
thank the gods that they are totally cool. And we're like, nope, we're good. Thanks for thinking of us. And let me just tell you, this is the beginning of wait until you hear all the fucking cool ass bands that I have to share with you guys this year. Just the beginning of this year alone is some like kick ass stuff. And I love, we started out with Serpent Church. I even bought a t-shirt from them. They're fucking cool guys. Haldol, amazing band. It's going to just keep going from here. It's going to be nothing but good stuff. So anyway, you're listening to Taphonomy for a minute. And when we get back, I don't know, news, catch up on a couple of things before we say goodbye.
I don't know. News, whatever.
Fuck it.
welcome back. How you guys doing? How was that? That was informational. I feel revived. I feel like I was brought back to life, you know?
You didn't even blow up either.
Not yet.
Disappointed. I'm getting you back for that old joke.
Well, it's good that you try now because you might not have much time.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Existential dread.
Well, she made it this far.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't know how long she'll live. She's been around, what, since ancient Mayan times, I think? Like 5,000 BC?
I was actually the blonde woman who was helping steal the bodies of a senator.
Nice. Thank you for confessing. Get her, boys.
I'm calling the police.
Statute of limitations is well up on that one, bitch.
We don't live in Ohio. I don't know those laws.
It's federal now.
Shit.
Yeah.
Crazy how much you know.
It's almost as if I was there. All right. Well, who knows? By now, guys, we may have won for best podcast of the Lehigh Valley.
Bro, I'm hyped.
We got to beat out those two guys with the food.
Excuse me?
Yeah. The Brunch Boys or something like that. They're freaking awesome though, so I can't even.
There's a Lehigh Valley podcast called The Brunch Boys, and I've not been listening to it this whole time.
I know, right? Like,
wait, I shouldn't be plugging their podcast. We're in competition.
Well, not anymore. The competition's over.
Sorry, I almost said something very bad about the Brunch Boys.
Don't.
I almost got that competitive attitude came up. My wrestling promo almost jumped out of me.
I know, and then you'd feel bad. I think they kind of did a little thing with Union and Finch. Which makes sense because Union and Finch is like, you know, a restaurant and all that.
Yeah.
The official Brunch Boys.
Well.
Yeah. Anyway.
For a crossover episode, I am willing to go to brunch with them. Just saying.
They were the best podcast of 2022. We're trying to be the best podcast of 2023, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I was a little confused about how that worked. Supposed to nominate us for this year's best pod, but we haven't even put out I don't know. I guess 2022 meant like how well they did in 2021.
I think
it is a great podcast, and we should do. Oh my god, we should totally do like a haunted restaurant crossover with the Brunch Boys.
Hell yeah.
They are also an African American led podcast, so love it. And if you go to their Instagram, listen to me plugging our competition, but whatever. Who knows? Maybe we won. I don't know. Maybe they won again. If they did, congratulations to them. But their Instagram is actually really great, and they're, you know, it's just pictures of food.
I mean, good.
You can't go wrong with pictures of food.
You really can't.
Yeah. Even shit that people were like, that's like gross. That's disgusting. I'm like,
Also, one of our longtime followers, who's also a musician, Kendall Conrad, she won last year as well for Best Musician in the Lehigh Valley. So that's cool. She's up again this year. I will not at this point because I don't know. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. But I did. I voted for a lot of food places in Lehigh Valley. Put my votes in. Yes, Union and Finch. Actually, I voted quite a bit for. So. They got some good food, damn it. But I also voted for a lot of other places too.
I never went there.
I think I might have gone to Union and Finch, but it was a little like 2 years ago, and because I had chicken and waffles and they were freaking amazing, and it was like a highly rated spot on the Googles.
Am I gonna have to go there?
I think we're gonna have to go there, Cord.
Their poutine is really good too. Join our Patreon, $1, $3, $5. Right now, we are working on saving up some money to send the boys somewhere this summer.
Send me away.
Yeah.
Yeah, cash on delivery. We're going to do American Express.
I was just going to say, are you doing Amex? Hell yeah.
Gotta. See, I was paying attention to the whatever you guys were talking about.
To the first part.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Still in a bit of a holding pattern for our Cord versus Cryptid episodes.
I wish to fight.
I know. I think that's probably going to happen in the spring, but we're going to record like 4 of them.
I wish to fight.
Follow us on all the places, all the social medias. And then also, you can email us. We've had several people email us. We've also had some really nice comments on YouTube, which you can follow us on YouTube. Following us on YouTube just helps us get, more followers, which means that we need to get to like 1,000 in order to finally be monetized on there. I mean, that's one of the things that has to happen. It would just be nice to have a tertiary stream of income, especially considering that, where I would like to send you guys over the summer, because I will probably not be able to do this. It would just be nice to help out the boys so I can send them somewhere cool.
If it means anything, Kiki, I'm willing, and I'm sure Cord's good for this cost-saving measure, is we'll just get a one-room hotel with one bedroom or one bed in it.
Oh, yeah.
One small bed.
We don't even have to waste money buying clothes for the trip or anything. Me and JC can just go in our underwear too. It's cool. One bed in our underwear. That's fine.
Yeah. We don't need.
Okay. All right. Good to know.
It's all about costs and
we're trying to be efficient. We don't want to.
Yeah.
We don't want to bring too many clothes and get real warm and have to turn on the AC or something. So we'll just not bring clothes.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't actually be staying in a hotel. You'd probably be staying on location at said place, maybe for the night. So if you don't,
oh no, we were just gonna lie about going and go on vacation.
Well, our patrons would know it since we'd be streaming. Well, that would be going to the OnlyFans then, I suppose.
It's not that we're not making content; we're going a different direction with it.
Wow.
Me and JC are taking our creative liberties.
Anyway, YouTube, yeah. So tertiary stream. So we don't have to go to the 4th stream of income, which would be OnlyFans with JC and Cord doing sexy haunted things. We got a nice response. We said thank you for having Chad Lewis on, which was really awesome.
Hell yeah.
Chad Lewis said.
No, it wasn't Chad, right? It was actually Chad Lewis who said it.
I mean, he did say thank you for having me on.
Oh my god.
He was a great guest. We gotta get him on again. That was such a good time.
Thank you, Commander Sonicito. They said, thanks for having Chad on. He's one of my favorites. And we responded, hey, thanks for listening. We are going to have him back on once he gets the new book out. I think that's going to happen this spring sometime. And yes, Chad's just an awesome dude, straight up awesome dude. And so much fun to talk to. Had a blast with him. And yes, Cord was very sad because he could not be here for that one. So
I was watching documentaries. I was reading stuff. Dude, I was so ready. And
I know. Yes, we've also updated some stuff on our YouTube channel. And we still want to try to do occasionally here and there one of our horror movie reviews. We'll see, because it's a lot. It's a lot. And Cord and I still have to figure out what the hell we're doing with soil sessions, because, it's that time of year again, Cord. It's time to put seeds in the greenhouse. Yay.
I haven't even thought about how I'm going to go about that this year.
I know, right? It kind of got away from me this year.
Yeah.
Don't you just put crap in the ground? It's not that fucking hard.
I think I kind of expected like some snow to be in between like
Mhm.
fall and spring. So like my brain is not mentally prepared for that whole situation.
We also have our Redbubble store, and I did recently try my hand at some, dare I say, AI artwork. I asked it to create Bigfoot in the woods in the style of Impressionism,
Now I'm interested.
and it did it. So go to Redbubble and see what we have because it's actually pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, cool enough that I was like, you know what? I kind of want to have that on a tote bag. That's pretty cute. It's pretty interesting. As you know, though, I know AI is kind of like iffy. I'm not 100% on board with it myself because I know some places, this place in particular is not in any kind of trouble from using things that they're not supposed to. I know there's quite a few of them out there that are in a lot of trouble because they're not using.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't ask for permission.
Yeah.
And that's a bunch of bullshit. But you guys know that we also pay 2 different artists to work on stuff. So
yeah, why didn't you pay them to get impression as Bigfoot?
well, because Chris doesn't do that, and neither does Ash.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair.
Or else I would have fired them to do. And Chris is already going to be working on our next 2 big things, actually 3 big things. So he's kind of got a plate full. Plus, he's also a full-time, artist doing commissions for other people too. And so Chris Stone Art, go check him out on Instagram. And then Ash is redoing our Van Meter Visitor for us because I asked her to. I had originally kind of messed around and drew that myself. I suck at digital art though. I am a 100%, hands-on acrylic or mixed media artist. So I don't do digital. I suck at it. So we took that down, and Ash is remaking Van Meter Visitor in her style, which I really love more. But I will tell you guys, I will probably be in an art show this October with my art. So
hey,
also 3 of those pieces are going to be kaiju.
Hell yes.
So I'm excited. I'm probably doing 9 pieces altogether for the show. They're all small. They're like 5x5s. But anyway. All right. Unless you guys have anything else that you want to add about any other nonsense going on that we may have forgotten about.
Hey, don't disturb graves. That's what I'm going to say.
Dude, right?
JC?
Yeah, I'm good. I don't got.
I was waiting for JC to concur and be like, no, you shouldn't do that. Wow. Okay.
I mean, it depends on. You can't just give a full on don't do it because, like, what if there's reasoning? Like, what if you gotta bring them up so you can look at them for an investigation? They do it in cop shows, I think.
That's not you doing it. That's the police. That's different.
Well, yeah, but what if a police officer is listening to this and he was about to go do that, and then you said don't do that, and he's like, and then that's how he would have gotten the killer, and you just got a killer free.
All right. Let me back up, okay? Unless it's like exhuming the body for like those kinds of purposes, don't do it.
What about for like medical purposes?
This is what the whole show is about. JC,
what
the whole episode is about?
Not doing that. We don't do that for medical purposes anymore.
Why do you think they were doing it? For fun?
And profit. Like, yeah. All right. So anyway.
Oh my God.
I'm just giving Gordon aneurysm.
Yeah, I just had like a real existential crisis. Like, did we listen to the same fucking thing? Like,
this is fun.
Did I like not hear this entire episode right or something? Like, what the fuck, man?
Well, what I was hoping is that you guys would be like, well, yeah, if you just for medical, sure, that's fine too, I guess. And then I would have been like, ha
not gonna fall for that.
I was hoping you would.
Hell no. What? I listened for the last hour plus.
So did I, but I was hopeful, Sometimes you gotta have hope.
sorry that I'm a positive person.
Okay, the last thing I am going to say, though, is if you have not already, please go listen to me and Cord on Godzilla Destroy All podcast. We were on with Logan and Charles.
It was so fun.
If you're a kaiju fan, please, or Toho in general, like it was a draft. So we got to like choose our own Godzilla and friend and, et cetera, and then kind of make up a storyline for it. So
yeah, buddy.
It was fun. You can hear me and Logan scream at Cord because he fucked us over.
Yeah, I stole it. I stole the good ones.
Bitch. Dirty bitch.
I had a plan.
You did.
Y'all came in with your plan. I came in with mine. That's all I'm saying.
Anyway. All right. So thank you for listening and taking us out once again. We have Haldol with Taphonomy. Please go listen to them on Spotify and Bandcamp. And as always, stay spooky and don't die. But if you do, contact us.
Via, if you could, American Express parcel, please.